human rights of migrants is an important issue. Migrants and refugees are usually subjected to poor living conditions and are more vulnerable to the loss of human rights. About 1,200 people leave Colombia every day with no intention of returning. The main border governance policies that are usually reported as human rights violations are violence by armed groups, forced displacement, and confinement. To solve this problem, we need to have a greater state presence and to implement human rights-based policies. This will help migrants live a better life and transition into their new countries with dignity, safety, and hope. Policies to protect migrant human rights include legal protections for vulnerable groups, adding targeted support services such as legal aid and shelters, and reforming labor laws for protection against exploitation. As Gustavo Petro stated, a migrant is not a criminal and must be treated with the dignity that a human being deserves. Thank you.
Thank you, distinguished chair. The government of Colombia feels strongly about the advancement of women. As Colombian Vice President Francina Marquez Mina said, and we as women, in a very specific way, have come into this life, have brought our children into this life, and we will continue to struggle to bring peace and liberty for our people. We do not want to continue to live in a world of violence and of birth, which is what historically we have lived in. Colombia also struggles with equal opportunities for women, but has made many strides to fix this. Colombia wants to start using more gender-inclusive language to promote gender equality and encourages other countries to do this too. Colombia has also made a law that an election list of political parties with 5 or more senators should have at least 30% of candidates from each gender. It is important that we fix this problem because women are not the only people who are impacted by this. It's also the people they support, like their children and extended family. Thank you.
The topic of migrant and refugee health is important to ensure the health care of people who are moving from one country to another, asylum seekers, and the Malaysian population. For migrants and refugees entering a new country, they may not be able to receive health care due to various reasons. This could cause the spread of sickness. There are 200,000 registered refugees in Malaysia as of 2025, but there are many more that are not registered. The more refugees and migrants that are educated about illness, the better they will be equipped to more quickly take appropriate action. If Malaysia signed the 1951 Refugee Convention, it could improve this issue. Malaysia should work together with other countries to reduce the amount of discrimination and violence so people would not feel the need to leave their country. Tennessee Office for Refugee States. To be called a refugee is not an insult. It's a badge of strength, resilience, and victory. Refugees and migrants deserve the same health care as anybody else.
Thank you, distinguished chair. The government of Malaysia was very strongly about the topic human rights and climate change. Millions of people around the world are struggling from the loss of fundamental human rights and climate change. Right now, Malaysia's community is feeling of lost life, health, and food. By 2050, they're trying to achieve climate neutrality. Malaysia is trying to fix their fossil fuels by cutting down fewer trees and by trying to increase the amount of mangroves they plant. Malaysia's solution to fight climate change is cutting down less trees, reducing rural, reducing volume worldwide. The Malaysian bar is putting a climate change bill to reduce greenhouse gases. As Lucina Talisha from Human Rights Watch once said, Malaysia has a duty to protect human rights, including by understanding the resolve businesses and mitigate climate change.
Thank you, esteemed chair. All humans deserve basic human rights, especially migrants who are often overlooked. This may lead to migrants facing xenophobia, discrimination, and racism. To quote Hans Maria Aguirre, former Director General of the International Labour Organization, migrants are an asset to every country where they bring their labor. Let us give them the dignity they deserve as human beings and the respect they deserve as women. Malaysia has come up with solutions for migrants to acquire human rights. These could be to educate other people about migrants and to have migrants share their story of when, how, and why they migrated. If non-migrants learn about migrants, they could discover that they have something in common. This may lead to people holding migrants in higher regard and hopefully treat migrants better. Another solution would be for immigration services in countries around the world to process legalization of migrants more efficiently. This way, migrants would be less vulnerable and easily accepted, leading to more equitable access to housing, healthcare, and education. Thank you for your time.
Climate change has caused problems such as food insecurity, water pollution, cultural problems, and development, which also affects human rights. Colombia's government believes that human rights and climate change challenges need to be addressed at multiple levels. First, people should be able to equally access renewable energy so that they can move away from fossil fuels such as coal, oil, and natural gas. When fossil fuels are burned during energy production, they release carbon dioxide, which is a large cause of global warming. Second, all countries can make renewable energy more accessible to rural and agricultural areas, mainly through supportive governmental policies that use inventive solutions over diesel generators. Third, countries need to improve their ability to respond effectively to climate change disasters. The delegation of
Thank you, distinguished chair. The Malaysian delegation believes that human genome editing is an important issue that requires attention. In 2017, 100 new gene therapies were developed. This is problematic because there's not enough regulation to keep it from being misused. Malaysia believes that human genome editing holds great promise and can shape our future. As Isaac Asimov said, genetic engineering may allow us to design our own evolutionary progress. Currently, we are not in a position to explore gene editing because there's not enough funding in geneticists. Educating people worldwide is the best way to further human genome editing. The more we educate our citizens, the more problems we can solve. We also need to increase medical accessibility in remote areas. These solutions can be presented at the UN and other major conferences worldwide. To prevent misuse of the human genome, countries must agree on consent and licensing regulations to prevent abuse. Human genome editing can change how genetic diseases are treated and help prevent deaths worldwide. Thank you.
Thank you, distinguished chair. The government and people of Colombia strongly feel that education for democracy is a very important goal because it teaches individuals skills and values that are needed to participate in democratic society. These skills include learning how to build a better community, problem solving, and knowing basic human rights. Colombian children are not learning things they need to because of physical danger, poverty, inadequate resources, and digital divide. Colombia has tried new ideas such as the Peace Chair for schools to teach coexistence, diversity, and historical memory. Education for democracy can improve more if countries start prioritizing and addressing local needs, having workshops, and empowering kids to speak up. It is important to work to expand school access and equal learning. As American professor and educator John Dewey said, education is not preparation for life, education is life itself. Thank you.
Thank you, distinguished chair and honorable delegates. Lethal autonomous weapons are weapons that use sensors to find and kill their targets. Lethal autonomous weapons are problematic because they can operate without human beings. If a town becomes about safety and survival, it's really important. Colombia feels strongly about this topic and has made numerous attempts to implement a preemptive ban on lethal autonomous weapons. As artificial intelligence expert Alan Turing once said, the world we are creating is one that will have intelligent machines in it, but it's not for them, it is for us. Two additional solutions are to make lethal autonomous weapons non-autonomous and to limit the global production of lethal autonomous weapons. It is paramount to maintain meaningful human control to prevent further dehumanization of warfare, as well as to ensure individual accountability and state responsibility. Please help solve this problem by giving every country a fighting chance. Thank you. Thank you, distinguished chair and honorable delegates. The delegation of Colombia believes that children in armed conflict is a problem that needs to be resolved because children need to go to school and not fight wars. They're being taken away from their families, friends, and homes by illegal armed groups and then forced into the military. In 2024, there were a total of 447 children coerced by illegal armed groups in Colombia. In Colombia, armed conflict has made life very hard for some citizens because some people have to leave their homes, stop going to school, and even join fighting gangs. Colombia and other countries around the world need to spend more time on rescuing children, helping smaller communities to solve this conflict, because children are not getting their human rights met or having a healthy childhood. As Antonio Guterres, the UN Secretary General, once said, there is no place for children in conflict, and we must not allow conflict to trample on the rights of children. To conclude, this needs to stop for children's future in Colombia. Thank you.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1. Woo!
For Darnestown, Maryland, has a performance by the name of Picnic of the World. Song and dance about all the nations of the world. Are you guys ready, MMUN? Bring to the stage, Butler, Montessori!